Welcome to the OAAA times BSLIP interest event. Before we get into our main event, I would like to just put a little disclaimer out about the recording. So tonight, our event will be recorded just so people who aren't able to join us today can review the video at a later time. And so if you feel a little bit uncomfortable about this, you can turn off your camera. In addition, if you feel a little bit hesitant about asking your questions to the live audience, you can go ahead and just send it via chat. And you can send it to either me, or you could just put it to everyone. So today, we've partnered with the Office of African American Affairs to make this possible. So I just want to give a big shout out to Dean Thomas, who will be giving an introduction in just a little bit. But I just wanted to go ahead and introduce myself first. So my name is Lauren Cochran. I'm a third year in the BA program here at the Batten School. I'm also a double major in African American and African Studies on the pre-law track. In addition, I am also a peer advisor here for OAAA, and I am also on the Tri-Chair of Selections Committee. In addition, I am the Director of Undergraduate Relations here for BSLIP as well. So if you have any questions about either BSLIP or OAAA, I can answer either. But without further ado, I'd like to hand it off to Dean Antoinette Thomas.
Hello, sorry, I had to unmute myself there. Hi and welcome. I'm so glad to see so many of you here and attending this session this evening. I'm Antoinette Thomas. I'm an Associate Dean in the Office of African American Affairs. This is my first year over in OAAA, and I am a liaison for OAAA and the Batten School. So I'm hoping to be able to get to know many of you, all of you, and assist as you try to find out what's the right path and course for you as you pursue your academic and career goals. I run the Grad Star program there, so that's part of the programming that I will be doing that's related to career and professional development. I'm also a faculty member in the Curry School of Education, where I teach graduate level courses. So I'm happy to see you all, and I will stop now, and I guess, am I turning it back over to you, Lauren?
Yes. All right, thank you so much, Dean Thomas, for that wonderful introduction. Now I would like to move into the more Batten portion of our information session, and you will hear from two wonderful speakers, one of which is the Dean of Batten, and the other which is the Director of Undergraduate Admissions. So without further ado, I would like to give it off to Dean Ian Solomon.
Thank you, Lauren, and it's great to see everybody. I'm Ian Solomon, Dean of the Batten School of Leadership and Public Policy. Really grateful for the opportunity to be with you for a few minutes this evening before I have to run off to another meeting. I'm sorry that we can't do this in person. When Anne, who I guess will speak after me, and I were talking, I really wanted to host you all in Pavilion 10, where I live with my wife, Marcia, and my son, Sumner, and our dog, you might see with his funny taped up ears walking around the lawn. When we decided to live on the lawn, it was in part to host groups just like this and to create a space of safety and of community and of connection. So we can't do it in person at the moment, but this will have to do for now. I know this is an important and a profoundly difficult time. And I know this semester is not what many of us anticipated or came to experience. But I'm really glad that you've joined us to learn more about the Batten School. You're going to hear tonight from some of our great student leaders about Batten's programs and resources, what we do well and try really hard to do, what maybe we don't do so well, what we care about. You'll hear about this experiences of our students as members of this community, their hopes, their aspirations to create lasting and positive change, not only at UVA, but in the world. And after speaking with them, I hope you realize that Batten is a place where you belong and where you can make a home that really will empower you. I know that, I suspect that many of you are struggling with a number of challenging personal circumstances, whether it's health related or in your families, economic, social, emotional. This pandemic prompts all of us to have to develop new tools, new ways of working, to step into new leadership roles in our families or our communities or in our new communities, and learn to be more flexible, more patient, more resilient, more forgiving of ourselves and others. I'd like to think that in many ways, Batten was established to meet exactly this kind of moment. In fact, our founder, Frank Batten Sr. was a very forward-thinking leader, and I've gotten to, he's passed now, but I've been studying a little about him and his decision-making. And in making his founding gift for the Batten School, he said, "Never has there been a greater need for enlightened and ethical leaders prepared for public life in their communities, in their professions, and in the world at large." And my sense is that observation is even more true for today. We're a proudly different kind of policy school and a different kind of leadership school with a dual focus on policy and leadership. But I like to say that the policy infuses the leadership and the leadership infuses the policy. Our goal is to develop the type of leaders that the world needs, those who are equipped with the skills, the knowledge, the values to make sound policy decisions, to be service-minded, collaborative, have deep empathy, and be effective in delivering action and results. And to create that sort of experience, we want to attract a community that's as diverse in thought, in background, in experience as the world that we want to serve, that we need to serve. And to be a place where all people can thrive, we have to create an environment that prioritizes equity and inclusion and justice. Everything that we do is strengthened by having a diverse community. Our conversations and our events and the choices we make and how we engage and how we interact with Charlottesville, they're all strengthened and enriched by having students of different backgrounds, different abilities, gender, sexual orientation, nationality, socioeconomic status, people who've been the victims of trauma, people who've overcome great obstacles, whatever it may be. We need the voices of people who've lived very different experiences, who've cultivated empathy from different life experiences, and who bring a variety of academic interest and political philosophies into our classrooms, into our community. Simply put, I believe it's critical we have more voices of students of color around every table at Batten. And I'm working very hard with the help of many on this call to achieve that, and hopefully you'll be part of that mission for the school. The magnitude of the policy issues we face are too great to take a narrow view, so your voice is vital and important to the school, to UVA, to the world. So thanks for being here. I want to leave with a message of hope. I work hard to try to cultivate my own hope, and I encourage our students and faculty at Batten to hold on to hope. I think hope is an important aspect of leadership. Together, we can meet any challenge and overcome any obstacle. And by showing up here tonight and for taking the time to listen to our students and ask questions, you show me that you too have hope. If you decide to join us, and I hope you do, please know that I'll do everything I can to make it a rewarding and fulfilling experience for you. We work hard to empower you to become a leader who can make the difference you want to make, because frankly, it's you and it's the students here who give me hope. So please take care of yourself, take care of each other, lean on the different support systems you have, including Dean Thomas and the advisors at OAAA, lean on the Batten students, lean on me or other people on the lawn if you need help. Keep an eye on each other and take good care of yourselves. The students on the call can tell you that I mean it, what I say. I hope they all know that. I think they do. And if you have questions, they will get the questions to me, I have no doubt. So I know I need to shut up because they actually know what really goes on at the school. I just sit here in my office and pontificate about it. But I'm grateful for your time and your attention tonight. So let me pass it back to Lauren.
Thank you, Dean Solomon, for the wonderful message. Without further ado, I would like to pass it on to the Director of Undergraduate Admissions for Batten, Ann Mulligan.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. Let's see. I got to turn off Lauren's spotlight somehow. I am a dual MC tonight. I have never done this. Let me spotlight myself. Okay, there we go. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Dean Solomon. Appreciate those remarks. Thank you, Dean Thomas, for being here. Thank all of you. I know we have hit a point in the semester where we are tired. The Zoom fatigue is real. This is a tremendous turnout, which really leaves me with a lot of hope. I hope that this is just the beginning of a conversation with many of you. My virtual door is always open. So thank you so much for being here. I am going to share just a couple admissions and application related slides before we get to the good stuff of our student conversations. So let me share my screen. And okay, does everyone see a slide encouraging you to become a leader? Awesome. Okay. So Dean Solomon did a really nice job setting the tone for this evening, for this conversation in terms of our mission and our scope. The dual focus that he mentioned on policy and leadership is something that we feel is very special about Batten. So we're going to give you best-in-class knowledge on policy, access to cutting-edge research. You will build skills in data analysis, but we're also going to help you develop your leadership portfolio. So that will include how to analyze group behavior, how to negotiate and navigate conflict, how to be an effective communicator, how to be a critical thinker. We really want you to be able to move beyond theory, to identify policy solutions and effectively lead to implement them. So that vision, we really, as Dean Solomon said, want to empower you to meet challenges and become a change agent. Our students are very deeply engaged, both in the classroom and outside of the classroom, and we work hard to equip them with skills they need to make an impact, both at their time at Batten and after they graduate. We are small by design, so we have about 400 students. We have a very strong emphasis on a cohort model. We want you to lean on your classmates, lean on the faculty, lean on support staff, all who can help you thrive and grow. We have a 10-to-1 student to faculty ratio, so they are very, very accessible. There's also a great deal of individualized support from my team through the application process, to a dedicated academic advisor, to our career services team that hustles to help you find internships and employment. We think it's really important to cultivate a Batten network because you'll continue to lean on it after you graduate to achieve your professional goals, and you'll use it to give back to the next generation of policy leaders. We are interdisciplinary in nature. So UVA, as I'm sure you know, has a number of interdisciplinary majors. There are a number of majors dealing with policy at UVA. Ours in particular looks at the ways that social psychology, economics, history, politics, ethics, and other fields all intersect and shape policy. Just as important, our faculty have really diverse perspectives. They are both scholars and practitioners in the global and domestic realms. So they're well-versed both in thinking about and doing real policy work. Dean Solomon is a former Obama administration official. We have former UN staff as faculty. We have another faculty member who's a former member of Congress and was a high-ranking DoD and US Army official. So all those folks bring that experience to bear in the classroom. That classroom setting is very interactive, it's hands-on, it's collaborative. The focus is on experiential and applied learning. So this is a pre-professional degree. It's very pragmatic. We're really looking to equip you for the real world. When you leave Batten, we really want you to have a strong analytical and critical thinking skill set. You will know how to write and design and execute a policy project. You will be a proficient public speaker. All of those things are really good preparation for a variety of careers. So our programs, students typically apply into the BA and the minor in their second year, and the Accelerated MPP, Master of Public Policy, in their third year. So for that accelerated degree first, you apply third year, you major in something else, you begin taking Batten coursework over the course of your final undergrad year. You graduate, walk the lawn, you'll do a summer internship as part of the program, and then that fifth and final year is all graduate work. It's very rigorous coursework in your first year in behavioral economics, social psychology, research methods, and data analysis, so that in your grad year, you can start to apply those constructs to policy areas that are interesting to you. The focus is really on the application of knowledge. So you'll do an applied policy project where you will work as a consultant with a client to solve a real world issue. You'll be spending real money. They expect real results. It is a professional degree. It's a deep dive into policy and data analysis. It's quantitative, and it's really for students who want to directly influence the policy sphere. The BA, you take courses in your third and fourth year in foundations of public policy and leadership, in economic analysis, various multidisciplinary contexts. and then a variety of special topics where you can start to explore policy areas. If you think of the Accelerated as a kind of an immersive deep dive, this is more of a generalist, kind of a liberal arts plus look at the policy realm. And our hope is really that you end up becoming a good consumer of information, a savvy user of data, and you have some policy knowledge. And then finally, the minor, you apply along the same timeline as the BA. It's a really good way to supplement your primary major with some policy and leadership. It's essentially half the coursework. You have access to the same community. The goal is really to begin to bridge the gaps in terms of your main area of study and how it intersects with policy. Okay, so I like to give a little bit of tuition and financial aid info just right at the top so you can start planning now. We don't want anything to come as a surprise. For the minor, there's no difference. You will continue paying tuition to your home school. For the BA, there is differential tuition that's just a bit higher than the colleges, like architecture, like nursing, like engineering, like comm. That said, you are eligible for UVA-wide financial aid, including Access UVA, which, as you know, meets 100% of demonstrated needs. So if your need rises, goes up due to higher tuition, which it tends to, eligibility for aid will also scale up. The Accelerated program is structured a bit differently. Of course, the financial benefit is you're getting a graduate degree in 1 additional year instead of 2. So you're trimming the time that you're paying for education outright. The first year in the program, you pay undergrad tuition to your home school, and then of course, financial aid is administered through UVA centrally, just like in the BA. The second year, you move to graduate tuition. So there's no central resource for financial aid at the graduate level at UVA. It is all school and department based. So Batten does have some funding sources, including need and merit-based fellowships, teaching assistantships, federal work study, employment at research centers or on staff, or elsewhere on grounds. All of this starts to tick down the cost of attendance, but you should not anticipate that the financial aid that we can offer will cover the full cost of tuition. So that's something to start thinking about planning for now, if that's a route you might like to go. So why go this route? Well, among some of the other reasons I've mentioned, we've really got great employment outcomes. This is data from the class of 2018, 98% of which was employed within 6 months of graduation. The class of 2019 was actually 99% employed, but we don't have a pretty graphic for that yet. You'll see here that many of our grads go into consulting, actually. More on the private sector side for the BA, more government consulting on the graduate level. This really reflects the broad foundation that you receive in critical thinking and project management. All of those skills really lend themselves to consulting. But you'll see that grads enter business, they enter government service, nonprofits, research institutions, think tanks, the service organizations, so Peace Corps, Teach for America, as well as grad school, particularly law school. The ability to kind of synthesize a complicated argument, distill it down to finer points, and propose a solution is very, very applicable to the thinking and the writing that you do in law school. The top destination for our grads is DC, but we also have students who work in New York, on Wall Street. We have students who join the tech sector and work on the West Coast, those who go and work abroad. Those sample employers you see at the bottom of the slide, the takeaway is really that there's a big cross-section of industry and government and public service represented. There are a really wide variety of outcomes because Batten students have wide and varied interests, and the toolkit that they build lends itself to a lot of different careers. Okay, so what can you do now? We have a number of classes that are open to non-Batten students, including all of the coursework that you see here. All of it can be applied towards curricular requirements if you come to Batten later. So that's really helpful if you want to like double major, study abroad, something like that. You can also take open electives, those LPPS courses at the bottom of the slide. Those are what we call special topics. Those are really policy-oriented courses, whether it's health policy or education, criminal justice, national security, global development. the legislative process. If we don't teach it, our academic advisor will find it in another school at UVA, and you can take that course for credit when you join the major. So it's it changes, the roster of classes changes every semester. It's a really dynamic list that really follows student interests. I should say before I move on, before the next slide, taking this coursework in advance is really for you to determine fit. It's not for us on the evaluation side. We have no expectation that you take any of the coursework in advance. Okay, so really briefly, I'm going to shift gears just a little bit to talk admissions and application information for those of you who are a little bit closer to applying. I already mentioned the timeline for application. You begin the coursework the following fall. Prior to that fall, you have to complete 2 prerequisite courses, depending on the program, to start to build that foundational knowledge. Our programs are very competitive. We intentionally keep our numbers quite small to develop that cohort. So there are typically 80 to 90 seats in each BA class, and there are 90 seats in the MPP, but half of those are accelerated MPP students, UVA students, and half of those are traditional postgraduate candidates. What distinguishes some of these successful applicants? I want to reinforce that there's truly no magic GPA or set of extracurriculars or prescribed classes. We want to see your passion, your engagement, your interest in policy, your academic growth over time. We want to see how you are a leader, whether that's formally or in your daily life. When we think about building a class, it's really not for the 2 years that you're here. We're thinking 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, who is going to be out in the world creating change? And as Dean Solomon said, we want to admit a class reflecting the world that we want to live in. So our admissions committee practices holistic review, meaning there's no one factor. We balance all of the factors against one another to determine admission. We will ask for a resume, a number of essays, recommendations, though not for the minor, only for the Excel and BA, and transcripts. We waived all application fees this year because we know that many students and families are experiencing hardship. And on that note of hardship, if you are experiencing challenges that have had a ripple effect on your life as a student, we really do not want to penalize you for them. So that could involve, losing employment, not taking an internship because it fell through, your decision making around credit, no credit versus traditional grades. Whatever the choices and challenges are, just explain your decision making to us, give us the full context, fill in any gaps in information that we might see in your application in the optional addendum section of your app. That's your space to essentially make your case for yourself and really help the admissions committee get to know you and what you're experiencing. Okay, so this is my last slide. Applications are open now. You can go to our website for sample walkthroughs of all of the apps. We will offer a workshop in a couple weeks where we'll give you additional tips about how to be successful. There will be an opportunity there to meet individually with current students so they can give you feedback on your essays, your resume, they can answer any questions that you might have. Our Batten ambassadors are going to offer dedicated office hours through November and December for that same application assistance. And we'll continue to offer help through winter break over email. This Batten Frankathon, every year we do a chili cook-off, which we can't offer this year, sadly, for obvious reasons. So this is gonna be our way to give you a little bit of a taste of the Batten community. Essentially, it's a case competition or a hackathon, but since it's Batten, we can't resist a pun. It's a Frankathon. So we'll give you a policy prompt. You'll work with a team and have access to a current student to serve as a Batten mentor to help you kind of solve a problem, and then we'll have a presentation and declare a winner. There'll be guest judges, we'll have some swag, it'll be great. So I encourage you, we will publicize all of this stuff. Any event we hold, we include in our newsletter. It will also be on our website. So as the details come together, we will share those with you. So I'm gonna turn things back now. I'm gonna stop sharing and turn things back over to Lauren.
Thank you so much for that insightful presentation. And I just want to say, I hope everyone on this call does end up applying to Batten because it's a wonderful experience. And now you'll get to hear from some current students and how their Batten experience has been. So without further ado, I would like to start off with giving each of the 4 panelists an opportunity to introduce themselves, who they are, before we move into our first question.
I will go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Seela Carrington. I am a 4th year in the Batten School, obviously majoring in public policy and leadership. Similarly to Lauren, I am a peer advisor, a senior peer advisor for the Office of African American Affairs. I am the president of the Black Student Leaders in Policy, which is one of the co-sponsors of this event. And if you want to learn more about that, you are more than free to ask us questions about that, because I really want to talk about it. And I'm really excited about the events that we have coming up. Yeah, and I'm really excited to see so many faces here. I can't wait to see more diversity within the Batten School.
Hey y'all, my name is Uche. I'm from Houston, Texas. My major, like the other 3 panelists, is public policy and leadership. I'm a social entrepreneurship minor, and I think that's all that's required of me. But yeah, and I'm also on the pre-law track.
Hey, I'm Rashid Christian, and I'm a BA student here, of course, majoring in public policy and leadership. And I minor in technology entrepreneurship. And I'm really excited to see all of you guys here. And if you have any questions that you want to privately ask me, you can always DM that to me.
Oh, well, so hey everybody, my name is Lenahan. I'm a master's in public policy student, 2nd year. So I'm a postgrad. I did my undergraduate at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, majored in econ and finance, and now I'm here.
Thank you all for the introductions. So just going straight into our first question, I'd like to pose this to the panelists. Why did you choose Batten, and what stood out about the curriculum compared to other academic programs at the university?
So something that I forgot to mention is I'm pre-law as well, but I'm a 4th year, so I'm currently applying to law schools, which has been a lot of fun, which is one of the reasons that I kind of chose Batten. I wanted something that was really policy focused, and I felt like politics didn't really give me that level of engagement that I wanted. I feel like a Batten degree is very unique in the sense that we get the politics side of it, but we also get the psychology side of it, the sociology side of it, economics. It encompasses a lot of different things into one area. So you can be really interested in quantitative stuff, and this is a great major for you because there's so much quantitative stuff. We have economics classes, which is one of the requirements. We have stata classes, statistics classes, things like that. But when I first came here during spring fling, I think, I went to a Batten info session and I was like, yeah, this is the place for me. This is such a great atmosphere. It's such a great group of people. About the academic programming, I think it's a little bit different than others because it's very flexible. We only have about 2 or 3 required major classes every single semester. And then after that, we kind of have the freedom to build our schedules however we really want to, which is really great because a lot of other majors are very structured. You only take classes in your major, but Batten kind of gives you the opportunity to, if you want a double major, I know a ton of double majors. If you want to, that is very possible. I believe Lauren is a double major. It's so possible, and it makes things a lot easier so that you don't really have to lock yourself into one specific area of interest.
That was such a thorough answer. I would say similarly the same thing. So I came to UVA pre-med, and several things changed my mind. Not only did I fail Calc 1210, that was a huge determinant, but because it was just way too fast for me. But I also came because growing up, I was always kind of the kid who asked why. I always wanted to know why about everything. And so going to a medical high school, I kind of already knew a lot about the biological whys and stuff like that. But then whenever I came to UVA, I learned so much about Black history that that I didn't know before. And so whenever I would hear all these jarring stories and statistics, especially about maternal mortality, because I wanted to be an OBGYN before, I couldn't get my mind off why are these things happening? Why are Black students you know, more likely to go to like poorly funded schools and things like that. Like, and I just couldn't get my mind off the fact that like all these things were always presented in books, like in a way that's like, oh, it just is what it is. So I came to Batten because Batten actually offers me answers like via policies and frameworks, and it gives me like the opportunity to really like break these things down, as like Sela said, not only quantitatively but qualitatively, which was what I was like really interested in. And plus, I feel like Batten stands out because they provide tools, not just to imagine this change and like, oh my gosh, let's read research papers that are like 40 pages long, but rather they also give you those tools to like produce this change. So everything that we're learning is like, okay, like imagine that you can literally change this tomorrow. What are you gonna do? And they like kind of not just like lead you to this like pond of knowledge, but like give you different strategies to, you know, get that water. So yeah.
Much like Uche, I came here with a totally separate interest that I realized wasn't a great fit for me. But so I spent a good amount of time here, like trying to figure out what was the right path for me. And I had interests in many different things, ranging from like econ to politics. And then I came across Batten and I saw that it was a combination of a bunch of different focuses. And then so I was like, maybe this is something I should look more into. And I went to an info session and it just completely blew my mind hearing of all the different places that graduates ended. I just knew that this program that combines so many different disciplines would be a great way for me to kind of scope out different things and learn different like frameworks, as Uche mentioned, that could be applied to a wide variety of areas. And definitely the smaller cohort model of Batten appealed to me because I like really enjoy group work and having opportunities to learn about other people and learn more about myself through working with other people. So I just knew Batten would be a great opportunity for me to practice that more and more.
Solid. So for me, like, I think it helps to start off with like why I wanted to study policy. So what attracted me was that like I want to do my PhD in economics, but I was always kind of hesitant to do so simply because I wanted to be that person that like not only like did the research, but like also, you know, carried it through, didn't just like throw it to someone to turn into a policy. Right now, I'm really focused on ed policy, and so I really want to make a difference in that area. So what attracted me to Batten was I knew I wanted to study policy before doing my PhD, and as soon as you come onto grounds, really just I was taken aback by like the level of comfort everybody has, especially with the administrators. Jeff is one of the funniest people ever to exist. And, you know, right off the bat, like he just makes you feel really welcome. And I toured 3 different schools once I graduated. And this one was the first one that like upon entry, like I automatically felt like it was a good fit. Also, I really want to make this like everybody involved. And so I was wondering if anybody could like put in the chat like what's the most attractive thing about Batten to you, and then we can just kind of go from there.
Yeah, don't be shy. Go ahead, tell us why you're interested in Batten.
Or if you have questions, ask us questions. Feel free. This is interactive. We want to learn from you. We want to hear from you.
Yes, and your interest or whatever you're interested in will actually go really well with our next question. So if we just want to have like 1 or 2 volunteers, just go ahead and tell us like something you're interested in.
I'll go. Is it okay if I just speak though, rather than type?
Sure, sure.
So I kind of have a similar story to some of y'all. I came in first year pretty calm. I thought that was definitely what I wanted to do, and after some of those prereqs and just some self discovery, I found that that was not the best route for me. A good route, but not the best. And then I discovered Batten actually when I got on grounds. I didn't know about it prior to applying to UVA, but it's just really drawn to me as far as I feel like it's more of my speed of what I want to do. I do have a passion to, you know, make a difference in some way. I can't I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I do know what I have passions for. And I feel like Batten can best help steer me where I need to go. And I think the people at Batten can help guide me to that. So that's kind of my.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So a lot of you guys have so many interests and perspectives, and it's just really lovely to see. And so because of that, we really wanted to take the time to ask our panelists if they could describe their experience as an African-American student at Batten specifically. They can feel free to discuss any relevant student engagements and/or support networks.
Yeah. So I think that Batten as a whole, like as an idea and as an entity, is amazing. I think the idea of focusing on policy and creating ethical leaders is really important, and focusing on the emphasis on leadership. I think being a Black student in Batten has been relatively difficult for me, in the idea that, as Anne mentioned, Batten is more expensive than the college. And with that tuition hike, it does draw in a specific type of clientele. A lot of my classmates are very homogeneous, very much from the same backgrounds, same experiences, same socioeconomic statuses, and just same biases in a sense. And I think that it's been kind of interesting to kind of adapt to that, not as much as different as like being at a PWI, but in like a more intimate and smaller setting, really being put to the test, where it's like you're really one of like 5 or 6 other Black people in your cohort. And that's been a really unique experience. I think this class that we're taking this semester, the 4th years are taking this semester, it's called Value and Bias. And our professor has actually kind of shown us that he is pretty biased, in the sense that we really didn't spend any time talking about how racial bias impacts jobs and networking and things like that. And we kind of called him out on it. And like after that, we saw a lot of things change. So I feel like being a Black student in Batten, we have a really unique experience and a unique opportunity to kind of change the narrative, and especially change the narrative when it comes to policymakers, because we get to speak up and share why what they're saying isn't always the best thing to say and isn't always the best route to take. And they can become more open-minded and understanding of that, which is why I worked with a lot of other people on this call to create the Black Student Leaders in Policy, to give us a space and give us an opportunity and give us a voice within the Batten community and make ourselves known, so that we can reach out to students like you, or we can reach out to each other, or just create a network where we can feel comfortable and feel supported and feel safe. And I think that a lot of people on this call, and Anne and Courtney, have been so essential, and Dean Rockwell as well, have been so essential in creating that sort of family. So that's kind of like been my experience. But I love Batten as a whole, and I love the opportunity that we have to contribute to it and contribute to its diversity and contribute to its growth as well.
Okay, I would say my experience at Batten as a Black student, I really wouldn't consider it any more different than before I was in Batten. Also, I feel like the virtual platform has kind of given everyone this kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like everyone is a little, I guess, a little afraid to be themselves these days. I don't know. But I personally feel like I've been very supported. I think I've gotten a lot of support from the Black student leaders in policy. I owe like a lot of credit to them during the whole application, period and stuff like that. I would also say Batten professors are like extensively kind. I feel like because they know like they're dealing with like a smaller group of students, it's like they're very committed to your success and your understanding. I think also like with the amount of level of policy they have, is I guess maybe they're also more committed, because it's like, dang, if we mess up with these kids, we're gonna be living as old people in a messed up world. But I also think the academic coordinators, such as like, Anne and Courtney, have been super duper helpful. And I would say because there is like 8 of us within the class of 22, like it's very tight knit. And at first I was like, oh, this is weird, but it's very easy to like ask questions and like feel supported and things like that. And personally, I haven't had any issues or anything with classmates. I would say all my teachers are pretty, up to speed. And they also view learning as kind of like a two-way street. You know, they always want to learn from us and want to know how they can make the course much better for everyone.
I think there's been like two main factors that's really contributed to like improving my experience as a Black student within Batten. And I'd say for one, it's definitely my community of other Black students. So we have like group chats and we make sure to support each other throughout classes. For example, if we're in a class and somebody doesn't understand a certain like economic principle we go over, since there's so many like people in our chat, there might be somebody in there who has a better understanding who will then explain it to everybody else. And just having that like chat of different resources is certainly helpful, and we definitely put each other on to any activities or just presentations that we think others might be interested in. And I would say another really important part is just like the staff in general at Batten is like very aware of their capabilities as professors, and they understand like different ways to support students who come from different backgrounds. So for example, I had this TA for a class that took all about JFK through Batten, and this TA was just like so supportive, and like she made sure to contact us and remember all our names and to just see if there was any way she could support us versus just like the normal support that would be offered as a TA. And I would say also, this is such a small part that makes a huge difference. But back when I was applying for Batten, there was a, like as they mentioned, there's usually an application fee, but there was an option to apply for a fee waiver if you needed it. And while that might seem like such a small thing, that can make the hugest difference in like for students applying, because that like when I saw application fee, I was like, this looks a little scary. But just knowing that Batten would offer that extra level of support just kind of like alleviate my fears, and then helped me kind of make the step from going from someone who thought Batten was completely inaccessible to me to actually putting my foot out there somewhat. So I would say that those two levels have definitely been very important in my experience as a Batten student.
All right, so I feel like I keep mentioning this, but as a postgrad student, I had like almost a culture shock when I first came to UVA. So I went to Greensboro, which is a more diverse place, and then between my fourth year at an undergrad and coming to Batten, I went to an econ program where it was everybody was like of diverse backgrounds. And then I came to Charlottesville. So that was a really big culture shock for me. I felt very like uncomfortable. I felt like I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew me. There was all of this awkwardness to it. And I felt like over time that changed, particularly because of both the student groups constantly trying to like bring you into the fold and like try to make you feel more comfortable, including BSLIP, which I'm a part of as well. And then also you find people that like can relate to you and who will be there for you, and then that's really where you find your niche. I had a couple more problems in class. I would voice those concerns. And then over the past summer, I was fortunate to meet two other second year MPP students, and we kind of all vibed on our shared like troubles of our first year. And so we developed our own student organization, the Equity Collaborative. Also happy to speak on that. And so our goal is to really just like try and make the Batten space and UVA as a collective as equitable as possible, and increase the good experiences everybody feels. And yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Our next question will go with your future goals and aspirations at Batten. So how will a degree from the Batten School advance your career personally? And if you have one learning experience or takeaway from a Batten class, you feel free to discuss that as well. That'd be great.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, pre-law, and kind of touched on like how useful a Batten degree is in that sense. Like we're able to narrow things down into a cohesive argument, things like that. So I'm kind of going to lean more towards like my takeaways from a Batten class. If you have not already, and if you can, take the, I think it's LPPL 3450, something like that. It's Resilient Leadership for Teams and Teammates, taught by Professor Tim Davis. By far, not only my favorite Batten class, but my favorite class that I've ever taken here at the university. Before you graduate, you have to take a class with Professor Davis. He is absolutely amazing and such an amazing resource. And so my biggest takeaway from that class is just that your voice is always important and always valued. I was a first year in that class and I was the youngest person in that class, so I thought my voice wouldn't be as valued. But he kind of taught me to speak up for myself, to be resilient in whatever I do and everything that I do, and understand that I am good enough and that I am meant to be here and I'm here for a reason. And so that class really helped me develop into the leader and the person that I am today. And I'm really, really thankful for that experience that I had.
Likewise, I would also say that I feel like Batten will help me in my future career, like within law school, and also like I want to at some point do consulting or like an analyst internship. And I feel like the consistent practice we have with policy writing, whether it's like memos or issue briefs and things like that, will make sure that by, you know, June or May or whatever, like you will get that thing down. And I also feel like, sorry, give me a second, kind of wrote these down. Like we also discuss issues that are like very relevant and like very now. So even especially because it is like a election year and stuff like that, I feel like the Batten classes are kind of like making it a goal for like using these current events to, I guess, change how they're teaching certain things and certain frameworks and things like that. So I feel like that's really relevant or helpful in classes, especially when it deals with policy, you know, not just looking at, you know, things that already happen, but how we can actually like impact things that are, you know, in the process of happening. But yeah, I would say like Batten makes sure that you consistently have practice in certain things so that like Ms. Ann said, like this is like a pre-professional kind of program. So it's literally training you how to be a professional once you graduate.
So one thing that I absolutely love about Batten is that the training and technical skills you learn can be applied to so many different areas. So when I first started, I had no clue what I wanted to go in, and I thought that maybe I could go like directly into the technology industry, focusing on like the intersection between policy, race, and technology. But then I realized I had an interest in pursuing possibly an MBA. And then of course this semester, and media law through the media studies department has me very interested in law school. And Batten kind of gives me the confidence that I will be prepared for like any of these potential following options, because just the skills and the different classes we take, this covers so many different materials, whether it's like economics, politics, just like, and just the hard technical writing skills that we learn can be applied to so many different areas. And just going through this Batten program makes me feel like I'm prepared to just be able to explore like what I want.
Yeah, and similar to the rest of the panelists, I just think that learning the inner workings of the policy areas, whichever one you choose or multiple, just really helps with my future goals.
And for our last question, if you all could offer one piece of advice to your past self who was an applicant, what would you tell that person? Additionally, now that you guys are in Batten, what kind of advice would you tell prospective African American applicants?
I think there's probably two. One, the first one is your economic grade. Your grade in economics is not going to define your admission to Batten. I promise you, I did not do well in economics, but here I am. And then two, there are going to be a lot of people that have a lot of stuff to say because it's policy, like it's policy making. But resiliency and perseverance is key, just to get into the Batten School in general. Like it's going to be a difficult path, but obviously because you guys are here, not only on this call, but at UVA, you're supposed to be here and you're meant to be here, and you're going to succeed regardless of what you decide to major in.
Okay, so I as well have two things, and I actually wrote these things down. Okay, so the first thing that I definitely would have told myself while applying was to relax. I think I was definitely freaking out a lot. I remember literally having a panic attack at one of those application workshops because I heard the girl next to me talking about how she had an internship at the embassy, and I was like, oh yeah, it's time for me to go. But I would definitely stay relaxed throughout this whole process because I was too busy looking at other people's lanes and I wasn't focusing on my own, which is definitely the quickest way to lose a race. Like turn around and check other people out rather than focusing on your path. Not saying that this whole application process is a competition, but I would also say to be confident in who you are, your experiences, and your impact. I think I definitely had a very tough first year, and I was really scared that that would define my journey at Batten or to Batten. And I think instead, like I found ways to like craft the different shortcomings I had and like say, you know, like basically how that's kind of like brought me to where I am and what I see for myself in the future. And the second thing I would say is to talk to multiple people, but have like different questions. I think I talked to just about everybody about my interest in Batten. I was talking to student ambassadors, people at OAAA, people at undergraduate admissions. Like it was crazy. I just like needed advice, people in comm. I went to so many people and I think I listened to like their instructions really well. So like whenever like a dean at OAAA, which were the most helpful people, well, one of the most helpful people would tell me like, hey, okay, so you failed calculus, but don't give up now. Like you need to take calculus again. I took calculus again, did better. Or when they would tell me, okay, like make sure, like I went to the academic advisor in Batten, like I was telling her, okay, well, if I don't get in, you know, what class should I take instead? And she helped me through that too. I would also say like I say like talk to different people because you should not go through this application process alone. When I got in, I was definitely excited because I kind of felt like this wasn't just my victory, but it was kind of like the working of like so many other people. Like I literally would schedule appointments with one of the faculty members at COM just to use her Grammarly Pro to like go through my like essays and stuff like that. So I would say like don't try and go through this alone because these are the same people who are going to be in your corner when you do get into Batten or when stuff gets hard or when you need like a little pep talk and all that. So yeah.
One thing I know I'm definitely not alone with at this school is not like UVA in general, is feeling a sense of like imposter syndrome and feeling like I don't really belong here, or feeling like I don't have what it takes to apply myself here. But one thing I would definitely advise everybody is never to feel like something's out of reach for you and to feel like you're not good enough or whatever, because you never know. Just put your foot out there and you might get the place you might not have ever thought you would have made it. And also, I would advise you to use your resources, use your resources, use your resources. There's so many resources out there, just like these can be your friends, professors, anybody. I would definitely use them to like your fullest advantage and not like use people, but like definitely take advantage of the resources that are out there and available for you to use. Because just having, for example, somebody read over your essay before you submit it can make the biggest difference in the world. So definitely taking advantage of your resources is one of the biggest recommendations I'd make.
Yeah, so I'm gonna start off with my recommendation to you guys. I would just say the exact same thing as Rashid. Um, Too often you feel like you have to do everything by yourself. That is not the case. It's actually a lot better to work with people. You get the most out of the resources. I mean, you pay for them, so it's like you might as well use them. For myself, I think one of the things I wish I had talked to myself earlier was just creating a society everywhere you go. It's real easy to just be like, I'm gonna do my 4 years, 2 years, whatever, and get out and never do anything more with that. It's really isolating to do that. I would say really try to build a village, a community everywhere you go, and you'll feel a lot better.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for sharing. That actually concludes our question and answer period. So if anybody from the audience would like to ask any of our panelists questions, go ahead and drop your questions in the chat, and or you can get off mute and you can just ask them your question live.
I have a question. What are some of the more like, I guess, technological aspects that you can do through Batten? Like obviously like it's public policy, but you guys mentioned a lot of like quantitative options and like technological like routes that people also take. So I was wondering if someone could elaborate more on that.
Tucker, you want to go?
All right, so I'm a total nerd. Love the quantitative stuff. So you have options like research methods. You have your economics classes. If that's something that you're interested in, I'm not sure about at the undergraduate level, but there are more classes outside of Batten. I just took a class that's let me get the acronym right. It's basically Geospatial Analysis, which sounds terrifying, but all you get to do is just like make maps all day, and it's actually like a really fun class. So if that's what you're interested in, totally recommend it. I can send a link with like a whole bunch of classes, or avoid that list. Either one.
So there is one question in the chat that I'm just going to go ahead and read out so everyone can hear it. When creating the account for your application and you are asked about several interests, I was wondering if you all could expand on the different categories. Is there a way to mix interests in the one you get in? Example, working on media and politics, but also race and ethnicity.
I can answer that one from an admissions perspective. We definitely don't want to lock you in any way. Why we ask in the outset is so we can be sure to link you up with any resources that we have available in those spaces. So we do a regular Monday Batten Hour. If we know what is driving student interest, we will make those recommendations to our colleagues to say, hey, you know, national defense is top of mind. And that, you know, it kind of permeates both the courses that we offer and then the types of events that we offer. But very intentionally, we do not make students pick a concentration or a track because we really want this to be meaningful to you, really applicable to your interests and your professional goals. So you can use the elective space to study anything you wish. Some students do choose to do like 3 courses in, say, education policy, but more of our students tend to take a little bit of something here, a little bit of something there, and build a curriculum that really makes sense for them.
And I know we're getting super close to the time, but I see this last minute question came in, so we'll make this the last one. From an application perspective, would taking a graded credit versus non-credit affect the way your application reads and or your chances of getting accepted into Batten? And I'll let Anne take this question.
Yeah, I get that question a lot. We absolutely want you to make the choice in pursuing credit, no credit versus regular grading in a way that is holistic for you, that makes sense for you in terms of your larger goals. There is absolutely no penalty to going that route. Even among the prerequisite courses, I had another student ask, what about micro and social psych? So what we do ask that you do is just give us the context. So let us know your decision making. Let us know why you went that route this spring or will this fall for that particular class. We just want to know kind of how you came to make the decision that you did, but it's an absolutely fine option to go that route for your courses.
All right, thank you guys for coming. I did want to say super quickly that if you have any unanswered questions, please reach out to any of the panelists and or Anne, and she is about to project a context slide. And so again, if you have any questions that we couldn't get to, please feel free to reach out to us because we really do enjoy interacting and engaging with students. And I really hope this session was helpful for you guys. And like I said, I hope to see everyone on this call apply for Batten. Thank you.
If you have not already, please follow at BSLIP UVA. That is our Instagram account. That is where we'll have all the updates about all the events that we're hosting. That's where you can get to meet our team, who we are, what we do, why we do what we do. If you have any questions about it, feel free to reach out to, honestly, any of us. Pretty much all of us are involved with BSLIP in some capacity. But but yeah, it's really exciting to see everybody here. I'm really excited to see all these faces, and I expect to see 20 applicants, I think. I think we have 20 applications set right now just because everyone on this call.